And there's Prakash too. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa Parudikacharya Ashtotirtha Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parudikacharya Ashtotirtha Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Take a time out for about 45 seconds. You didn't time me? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On the 17th day of February 2020, in SanDiego, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 10, entitled The Opulence of the Absolute. Text 4-5 on page 423. Buddhi Jnanam Sammoha. Okay, time out. We request not to put the song on the floor. You just put it underneath the book. It's okay. Yeah, you can just tuck it in under the book. Right there. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, let's start again. Buddhi Jnanam Sammoha Chama Satyam Dhammasamaha Sukham Dukkam Bhavo Bhavo Bhayam Cha Bhayamevacha ahimsa samata tushtis tapodhanam yasho yashaha pavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva patang vidaha buddhi jnanam sammoha Kshama satyam dhamashamaha Sukham dukkam bhavo bhavo Bhayam cha bhayameva cha Ahimsa samata tushtis Tapodhanam yasho yashaha Pavanti bhava bhutanam Matta eva patag vidha. Mercy. Buddhi jnanam sammoha. Kshama satyam dhamashamaha. Sukham dukkam bhavo bhavo. Cha bhayame. Lauren, you do the next one. Okay. Ahimsa samata tushtis tapodhanam yasho yashaha pavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva patag vidha. Page 423 for Parashakti. Do you want to try? One of you? Do you want to try? No? Go ahead. Buddhi jnanam sammoha Sama satyam dhamashamaha Sukham dukkam bhavo bhavo Bhayam cha bhayameva cha. Okay, go ahead, Prakash. Ahimsa samata tushtis Tapodhanam yasho yashaha Pavanti bhava bhutanam Matta eva patag vidha. You want to do some Parashaki? Okay. All right, I'll just read through the word by words. Shall I read through? Okay. Buddhi, intelligence, jnanam, knowledge, asammoha, freedom from doubt, shama, forgiveness, satyam, truthfulness, dhammaha, control of the senses, shamaha, control of the mind, sukham, happiness, dukkham, distress, bhavaha, birth, abhava, death, bhayam, fear, cha, also, abhayam, fearlessness, eva, also, cha, and ahimsa, non-violence, samatha, equilibrium, tushti, satisfaction, tapaha, penance, dhanam, charity, yashaha, fame, ayashaha, infamy. Bhavanti, come about, bhava, natures, bhutanam, of living entities, mattaha, from me, eva, certainly, pratag, vidaha, variously arranged. Translation. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. Purport. The different qualities of living entities, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna, and they are described here. Intelligence refers to the power to analyze things in their proper perspective, and knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter. Ordinary knowledge obtained by a university education pertains only to matter, and it is not accepted here as knowledge. Knowledge means knowing the distinction between spirit and matter. In modern education, there is no knowledge about spirit. They are simply taking care of the material elements and bodily needs. Therefore, academic knowledge is not complete. Asammoha, freedom from doubt and delusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant and when he understands the transcendental philosophy. Slowly but surely he becomes free from bewilderment. Nothing should be accepted blindly. Everything should be accepted with care and with caution. Kshama, tolerance and forgiveness, should be practiced. One should be tolerant and excuse the minor offenses of others. Satyam, truthfulness, means that facts should be presented as they are for the benefit of others. Facts should not be misrepresented. According to social conventions, it is said that one can speak the truth only when it is palatable to others. But that is not truthfulness. The truth should be spoken in a straightforward way so that others will understand actually what the facts are. If a man is a thief, and if people are warned that he is a thief, that is truth. Although sometimes the truth is unpalatable, one should not refrain from speaking it. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. That is the definition of truth. Control of the senses means that the senses should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. There's no prohibition against meeting the proper needs of the senses, but unnecessary sense enjoyment is detrimental for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the senses should be restrained from unnecessary use. Similarly, one should restrain the mind from unnecessary thoughts. That is called shama. One should not spend one's time pondering over earning money. That is a misuse of the thinking power. The mind should be used to understand the prime necessity of human beings, and that should be presented authoritatively. The power of thought should be developed in association with persons who are authorities in the scriptures, saintly persons and spiritual masters, and those whose thinking is highly developed. Sukham, pleasure or happiness, should always be in that which is favorable for the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, of Krishna consciousness. Of the spiritual knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And similarly, that which is painful or which causes distress in that which is unfavorable is that which is unfavorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Anything favorable for the development of Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and anything unfavorable should be rejected. Okay, why don't we stop here and I'll go through some of these and then we'll continue. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara. So just to get some perspective on this chapter, on what we've read so far in this chapter. This chapter is called The Opulence of the Absolute, and in Sanskrit is called Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti has to do with opulences, glories, great powers. Krishna here is describing, actually, the first part of this chapter, he's describing himself as the Supreme Absolute Truth. Which is defined in the Vedanta Sutra, at Brahman, as the source of everything. The source of everything. Now, that's more of a rich concept than just God. We have this idea of demigods. There are many gods, right? But the supreme God is another thing. In other words, it just says the word Ishvara. Ishvara means a controller. So Indra is an Ishvara, Brahma is an Ishvara, Lord Shiva is definitely Ishvara. But they're not Parameshvara, the supreme controller. All of them ultimately defer to Krishna. And we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam, each one of them has pastimes where they realize that Krishna is God. And they offer obeisances and they agree to serve him. They're already serving, but they become more committed. So, he has already in this chapter, Krishna has described how he's the source of all the other gods. One who knows that he is beginningless, that he is Loka Maheshwaram, the Lord of all beings, is a real wise person and is freed of all sins. And now he's describing different elements that we're all familiar with. We all have some intelligence, knowledge, forgiveness, truth. All of these things are within our ken. We may not experience them all the time, but they're qualities of human beings. And so he's saying, Mata, Eva, they all emanate from me. And in a few verses, we're going to get to the 4 essential verses of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Text 10, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And so now, Krishna is giving us this whole list. And first it starts out, it's all very positive, intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt. But then he says, happiness and distress. birth, death, fear and feelings, and satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. So it's not just positive things that he's the source of. He's also source of the negative things. Because it's just like light and shadow. It's not that, shadow is bad. It's just that it's the lack of light. And these negative qualities are there because the positive qualities are there. When they're lacking, you have the opposite, fame and then infamy. Infamy is a kind of fame also, isn't it? Notoriety. One is very well known for being, a big cheater. Who's that guy? Bernie Madoff. You remember him? He's probably still in jail. Very good at cheating people, right? So that's a kind of fame, but it's infamy. So let's run through some of the things. Prabhupada gives some interesting definitions here. Intelligence refers to the power to analyze things in their proper perspective. The intelligence is actually a key element. Human beings. What do we have that distinguishes us from the animals? I mean, we share a lot. They have senses. We have senses. High frequency means a better understanding of what's what. We can contemplate these truths. But the animals, I mean, we have very few human beings in the class, what to speak of animals. You know what I'm saying? In other words, these higher questions are there for human beings. Human beings, we share, things. We're born, we grow old, we reproduce, we get, disease, and we die. The dogs do that, the cats do that, the birds do that, So what's different about human life, essentially, is that we have this intelligence by which we can investigate things, we can manipulate the material energy better, but really we can inquire into these ultimate questions, and we can solve the problem of life, the real problems of life. What are the problems of life? We will learn in the 13th chapter. Krishna says, here's an element of knowledge that's very important. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, dosha, and darshanam. One should be aware of the negativity of birth, old age, disease, and death. That happens to every one of us. All of our plans, all of our hopes and aspirations for life in this world are going to be dashed sooner or later. We may succeed, we may not succeed. But even if you succeed, eventually you fail because the body leaves, and all of your fame that's in here, your relationships, whatever money you have, it's all left behind. But you don't die. You as a soul, the actual person, the consciousness, never die. That's the first lesson. The Jayate Mriyate Vakadachan in chapter 2, text 20. For the soul, there is never birth or death at any time. No souls have ever come into being. They're not coming into being now, and they won't come into being in the future. They already exist. We are as eternal and as Krishna is. And this is a very important verse. It's actually a Upanishadic verse. So what does that mean? What's the implication of that? It means that if we are not deepening our understanding of ourselves as spiritual beings, as souls, then we're leading a superficial life on the material plane. It has to do with this external body. But all of that is in flux. So that's why the Vedic injunction, maybe you hear this in practically every yoga. I learned this before I ever heard of Hare Krishna. Asato ma sadgamaya. Right? Isn't it? Tamasi ma jyotir gamaya. Mrityu ma amritam gamaya. Please don't stay in darkness, come to the light. Don't stay with the temporary, come to the eternal. Don't stay in the world of death, come to the world of eternal life. This is a wonderful call. You'll never hear that in a secular society where everything is simply science. This requires faith that there is such a thing as an eternal life. That you see, and we get that from the Bhagavad Gita and other such literatures, which are recordings of Krishna's words himself, but all great realized souls who have actually understood themselves to be eternal spirit and perceive this very subtle reality of God and the soul. So that's the call. Then we have to recognize the truth. We really don't know. We don't know how we're going to get there, and so we have to approach the authority. This is called Amnaya. Amnaya means realized souls. The Shastra, which is simply writings. Vyasadeva wrote down Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and they provide knowledge for us. So the intelligence is the key. And hearing such vibrations as Bhagavad Gita, studying them and trying to put them into practice, this purifies and deepens our intelligence. Now with that intelligence, we can tell the mind and senses. Mind and senses are always looking for pleasure. Mind basically is there pleasure there? Let me go for it. Is there pain there? Let me avoid it. Or let me, do something else. Sankalpa vikalpa. Yeah? Intelligence says, well, how can I, if it's serving the mind, how can I arrange to get the pleasure and avoid the pain? You see? And the senses, they're saying, yep, that was fun. Let's do it again. Yeah. No. Let's not. Here, there, everywhere. So normally, if you read chapter 3 at the end, it describes how material desire that infects the mind, senses, and intelligence of an ordinary person without any access to spiritual practice. And that determines what we consider to be important and what we want to avoid and how we form our life on the basis of our own particular material desire and environment and where we grow up, what mode of nature we're in, passion, ignorance, goodness. So that's what we call conditioning, the conditioned soul. And we've been conditioned for eons, mostly, let's just face reality, in the lower species. They're also living beings. Their intelligence is much more rudimentary, but they have soul. They have definitely soul. They have a rudimentary mind. They certainly have senses, whether it's the dogs and the cats and the pigs and the cows, or even the insects, even the trees. There's life there, but consciousness is practically covered. They don't even know they exist, just existing. But they were once in the spiritual realm, just like we were, but they've fallen so far. But they're not eternally that way. They'll leave that body, go to another body, and then you come up to the human life. It's a great opportunity. This verse Prabhupada would quote all the time from the 11th canto. Labdva sudurlabam idham bahusambhavante manushyam artadam anityam abhiya dhira tunam yateta napateta namityayavat nikshayasaya vishaya sarvata kalusarvatak syat. So you have attained, this is Krishna speaking to Uddhava, I believe. So the human being, every human being has attained this human form of life after many, many births through different species. And what's the unique quality of the human life? Artadam. Arta means value, and in this case he's talking about the ultimate value, the ultimate good that you can achieve. It's called nikshayasa. Shreyasa is good, and nikshayasa is the ultimate good. So he's saying, artadam, but like all forms, it's temporary. So basically, don't waste any time. And so the third line begins, turnam, quickly, yateta, strive. Turnam yateta napateta no mityayavat. As long as you haven't died yet, you still have your wits about you, then strive for this nikshayasa, breaking out of the bonds of birth and death, and realizing ourselves as Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, which is just the same kind of body that Krishna has. So that's the ultimate reality, is this regaining our life of full pure love and loving devotional service to Krishna and experiencing reciprocation in the eternal world. That's the aim of human life, of all life. Only humans can understand it. Huh? Yes, Hanuman was, a great devotee, eternal devotee. Yeah. So this, and then at the end he says, after all, you've experienced all varieties of sense pleasures in all different bodies, and look what it got you. More birth, more old age, more disease, more death. So don't go there. Strive for the ultimate good, and that's devotional service, as Krishna explained. So that's all our intelligence. When we understand and have faith in that, we can use it. What is real knowledge? Not material knowledge. It's not just understanding the varieties and intricacies of the material world, but it's understanding three basic things. Where does everything come from? What am I? Where is my place in this world? And what is this material energy that we're living in? Who is God? Who am I? What is this world? And what are the relationships? That's basic knowledge. And Bhagavad Gita gives you a very nice outline of that. Srimad Bhagavatam in great detail. And then we find the writings of the Goswamis, such as Rupa Goswami and Krishnadas Kaviraj, giving us great details on how we can practically, step by step, come to understand these things and experience. The whole thing is experiential. how we can experience the ever deepening pleasures, spiritual pleasure of engaging in loving service to God, to Krishna, the all-attractive Lord. So that's what real knowledge is. Asamoha, freedom from doubt and delusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant. He understands the transcendental philosophy. Forgiveness. So this is really important because we go through life and through the world, and inevitably we find some people wrong us, some people did this, did that. And if we take all that into our heart and we cherish those grievances, this is a very kind of mode of ignorance type of existence. We need to be able to see the attitude of the devotee is, whatever happens to me, this is a result of things I've done in the past. There's the different. Lord Brahma, in his prayer, the Krishna, he's saying, here's how you can buy your ticket back to Godhead. You see? You have to see everything. When things happen to you that are negative, you say, boy, I must have done something really bad in my last life. And Krishna is just minimizing it. He's just minimizing. Thank you, Krishna. It could have been so much worse, And when good things happen, we say, oh, Krishna's so kind, even though I don't deserve it. He's giving me this. Let me use it as a better facility for serving him. You see, so in both instances, whether negative thing, and this is a material world, it's going to happen. Things are going to happen, on all different levels. And if you're always in the mood of, hey, why did that happen? Just like, the electricity. They change the way they build the electricity. Anyone has an apartment, They say, oh, now you have a great opportunity to save money, Just do all your electric stuff in the off hours in the morning. And don't use your electricity in the evening. Well, that's when you use the electricity, from 4 to 9. So naturally your bill has gone up. Isn't it? I'm sorry? Oh, I probably should have opted out. So anyway, but the point is that things happen, there's 3 kinds of miseries. The general category. We all experience them. We may not know what they're called. Adhyatmic, adhibhautic, adhidaivik. So adhyatmic means miseries that come from your own body and mind. We've all experienced that. Everything is fine, the weather is perfect, Nobody has insulted me today. The job is still there. But somehow, I did something last night I shouldn't have done, and now I feel terrible, and, I can't do anything. In other words, and you get older, and things just happen. They just break down. They start to break down, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's your own body and mind giving you. You can't blame anyone else. Then there are adhibhautic miseries. These are miseries that come from other living beings. I heard Prabhupada describe it, bed bugs. He must have maybe experienced that in India or in America, sleeping. You ever have bed bugs? I never had that experience, and I'm hoping I never do. But maybe friends. I mean, the thing is, it happens. And that's just one example. Most of it is coming from other human beings. There's one human being on this planet, I will never mention his name, but you know who it is. He's got a very powerful position, the most powerful position in America. He's causing anxiety for everybody in the world, not just Americans. It's like, it's like you're driving a bus. There's a bus, and you're in the bus. Okay, fine. And then suddenly you realize that the bus starts to go this way and that way. What's happened to the driver? Is he drunk? Has he had a heart attack? What's going on? The whole world is like that. You can't get off the bus. So that's adhibhautic miseries, or just the ordinary course of events. Other people give you a problem. And then there's the adhidaivik miseries. Those are miseries that are caused by like earthquakes, storms, and now everything's worse because of global warming. They're having 500-year storms or everything every couple of years. They're not 500-year storms anymore. They just had 2 hit Europe. The locusts. Locusts? Is it the Bible in the biblical days? I mean, sometimes they overlap. Is it adibautic or is it adidaivic when you have a billion locusts coming at you? It's more like some kind of a natural plague, So this is things are going on okay for a while. I'm not experiencing any of those, although I know other people who are. And then suddenly it happens to you. And you have to be able to keep your equanimity even in the things that happen. The mode of ignorance, when you get more and more, is that at the very slightest problem, you become angry. Who am I going to blame? You blame this one, that race, this thing, somebody else, everyone but me. But the devotee is saying, oh, something I did in my past life or in this life, I'm getting my karmic result. I can't blame anyone. What you do is you thank Krishna for minimizing it. And you go on with the devotional service. So this is called Shama, or tolerance and forgiveness. One should be tolerant and excuse minor offenses of others. Truthfulness, that's a very important principle. You can see that if you spin a web of lies, you get caught in that. It's always anxiety for you. Rather than telling the truth about something, you have to remember what was the lie I told. Otherwise, if I contradict that will cause suspicion. Right? So it's best to be truthful and then avoid that anxiety. And go into control of the senses. They should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. So this goes back to what I was describing, how our whole bondage in this world is caused by following the impulses of the senses to try to enjoy, and then that plants a desire to do it again. I like to give the example, I don't know, when I was a kid, we had these things called chocolate kisses. Do they have them anymore? Little pieces of chocolate. Anyway, and I grew up with that, and I was totally a chocolate addict for a long time. Chocolate milk, chocolate cake, it was just a thing. Now, it's not a poison or anything, but the point is that if you cultivate a desire, it's going to stay with you as long as you have the opportunity to enjoy it. And then what happens at the time of death? This is the science. Your mind is filled with all these unfulfilled desires, right? And the mind, you leave the body, and the soul leaves the body, not just as a soul, but accompanied by the subtle body, the mind, intelligence, and ego. And that mind, full of unfulfilled desires, and then all your karmic record, that is decided by higher power is exactly what body you're going to get. That's the science, And then you try to fulfill them, and that whole thing. So it goes on like that. Probably called the chain victimization of karma. So the fewer material desires we have, the better off we are. And pure devotional service, pure love for God, means you don't have any material desires left. All your desires are simply subsumed under, how can I please Krishna? How can I please his devotees? What can I do to give other people Krishna consciousness? In other words, you're completely selfless. But in that selfless mood, you enjoy more than anything. They've even done studies, aside from Krishna consciousness, people who do things for others, are the happiest people. Isn't it? Yes, the seva, that's what we're into. Yeah. And especially when you give people Krishna consciousness, which can give them their eternal good, it's the greatest welfare work. So you find yourself, you're not doing anything for your own sense gratification, but you're finding yourself happier than if you got all the sense pleasures you could have. You can just look at the people who have the most, the billionaires. I don't see the billionaires looking all that blissful, mostly. There's so many people who are attacking them, accusing them of this or that, and they have to worry that I've only got 2 billion, and this guy has 10 billion. What good is my life? It's insane. Nobody should have $1 billion. That's way too much. It means that you're a thief. That's all Krishna's property. Everything is owned by God. And if we try to use it in a service, you become very happy. You become happy with the less you think you need, the happier you can be. I've got this house in Bel Air somewhere, and I paid $10 million for it. And then anyway, it's just, when you experience Krishna consciousness, you find out there's a reservoir of pleasure in your heart that we haven't tapped into for millions of years. It's already there. Krishna is there. The Super Soul is there. Krishna is there. And if you follow the program as set out in the Bhagavad Gita and the Acharyas, and then you learn how to contact. It's the simplest thing. It's so just to chant the holy name. Chant Hare Krishna. And learn how that like some of the great souls have described their experience of chanting. So there's this one verse, I put it into a poem. It's by Raghunath Das Goswami. He's one of what we call the 6 Goswamis, the prime disciples of Lord Chaitanya. So he's wrote many books, and this is one from his Stavavali. And he says, Radheti nama navasundara siddha mugdham, Krishneti nama madodabhata gada dugdham, Savakshanam surabhiraga himena ramyam kvittvata daiva pibame rasane chudarte. So he says, when we chant Hare Krishna, we should know that the word Hare is vocative for Hara. And Hara is a name for Radharani, the goddess of fortune. Why Hara? It's similar to Hari. You know what the word Hari means? Lord Hari? He who takes everything away from you, especially your heart. He takes away all of your misery. So the word Hara means she who steals away Krishna's mind. She enchants Krishna. You see? So that's the name for Radharani, Hare, right? Actually, Srimati Radharani is pure love for God personified. Prema personified, love personified. And Krishna is of course, the name for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It means all attractive. He has infinite beauty, infinite strength, infinite wisdom, and all these different qualities. And so that's there. And the word Rama means he who is the personification of Ananda. He who is always enjoying. And we can also enjoy like that. We're also part and parcel of Krishna. So this verse by Raghunath Das Goswami, he's describing the name of Radha and the name of Krishna. He's describing Hare Krishna mantra. An excellent, now, have you ever been to a Hare Krishna feast at all, Sunday or any time? Okay. So sometimes they serve nectar drinks, with fruit and everything in there. So this is what he said. And then there's something called kheer. I don't know if you ever had kheer. Kheer is condensed milk. Okay, so we know what it is. So he describes it. You have to know that. An excellent fresh nectar drink with endless subtle tastes. Such is the name of Radha, by whom all 3 worlds are graced. Condensed milk that is wonderfully delicious, thick and sweet. Such is the name of Krishna, in whom all attractions meet. Now mix these drinks, O thirsty tongue, and add the cooling spice of love, a prize the wise will try to buy at any price. And then in every moment drink this beverage most fine, and make my heart supremely blissful, peaceful, and divine. Now that's his experience of chanting. Rupa Goswami, he says, I won't give you this, well, I'll give you a sample of the Sanskrit. Tunde tanda bandira ting vatanute tundavali labdaye. Karna kroda kadambani gadayate karnabude vyakspiham. Chetak prangana sangani vijayate sarvindriyana kutum no jane janitaki yadvidamitai krishneti varnadvahi. So he says, I don't know how much nectar these 2 syllables Krishna have produced. When I chant them, they seem to dance through my mouth. I want to have millions of mouths to taste these nectarian syllables. And when they enter the ears, I want to have millions of ears to drink in the sound. And when they enter the courtyard of the heart, and they completely captivate the mind, then all the senses become inert, and I become stunned in ecstasy in Krishna. So this is how he's tasting the holy name. Now we can also taste it that way. The example is given, I don't know if any of you have ever had serious hepatitis, but I had a serious case back in 1969. I won't tell you exactly how I got it. Well, I'll tell you, so you won't imagine. I was living in Manhattan at the time, and they had, it's very foolish, and at that point, probably this for a short time, in the summer of 69, 69, they were selling these, I hate to say it, anyway, live oysters, not live oysters, they were dead, but they're still oysters, from the East River with sauce on the street. And I was foolish enough to eat some of those, my friends. I got this serious case of hepatitis. So I was in the hospital for a month. Just when the moonshot was supposedly happening, I saw it on TV. This is like one step for man. Anyway, so while I had that hepatitis, I'm in the hospital, and they would give me some, not prasadam, but hospital food, and whatever was sweet didn't taste sweet. It tasted bitter, or it tasted weird, because I had hepatitis. I had a problem with the bilirubin in the blood and everything. So, but after some time, gradually it returned. So Rupa Goswami has a verse where he's describing that Sat Krishna Nama Charitadi Satapya Vidya, that the holy name, form, qualities, pastimes of Krishna, which is subject matter for chanting and hearing, are sweet just like sugar candy. But because our tongue is covered with the bile of ignorance, we can't taste it like that. It doesn't, people, well, okay, what are you chanting that name for? We had one guy on the street one time. We used to go out every Friday night. You remember that? We had a sign made by Yamuna, Patti, and we carry it out. And this homeless guy came. He couldn't stand the chanting, and he gave a big punch to the sign. He made a little hole in the sign. Can you believe that? Anyway, so, but to the great devotees, the holy name, they can chant all day and be perfectly happy, because it's transcendental. So, but we don't taste it as such. We don't experience it. So it's a question of purification. When we purify the mind, the senses, the intelligence, and the spirit becomes alive, wakes up, then everything about Krishna and the service of Krishna becomes so tasty. And you can be happy with very little materially. Just like this brahmachari dress. I'm so happy that, I'm out of that whole scene. I'm trying to dress, fashion, the whole thing. My whole wardrobe costs maybe $100 for, every 5 years or something, That's a big relief if you don't feel you need it, right? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So not everybody can lead that life, but you can be happy with such. It's so wonderful to get free, because how do they grab you? How do they control you? By inducing you to buy so many things. With money, to buy things you don't need with money you don't have, so that they get you in the debt peonage. Yeah, and it doesn't make you happy. You've got the reservoir of pleasure, unlimited pleasure in your heart, and you're looking outside. There's a nice verse that says, describing the situation. Yatabudo jalam hitva parichannam tarudbhavai abhyati magatishnam vai tadvatvaham paranmukha. This is a verse spoken by Akrura, who's a great devotee. He was in the 10th canto. He's famous for his prayers. This is part of his prayers. So he says, I'm just like a foolish person. You just visualize here, there's a desert, but in the desert there's an oasis, and you're standing at the edge of that oasis. And right next to you is a wonderful pool of pure water. But it's overgrown with some foliage. You can't see it. You're very thirsty. You look out in the desert, what do you see? A mirage. So instead of getting that water that's right there, that's available to you, you run out into the desert and you almost die. So that's what we're doing. We're searching in this desert of the material world for that lasting, deep, unlimited pleasure which isn't there. No matter how intense the pleasure is, it's fleeting. And we know that. No matter what, we've all experienced it. But we all have that ocean of pleasure within our heart, but we can't see it. And so we're always going out, out, out. So Krishna consciousness teaches us how to tap into that pleasure we've always had. And if you stay in contact with Krishna through the process of devotional service, chiefly by hearing and chanting, you can become very much detached from all of these different things and very much attached to Krishna, which is what we want, and He's always there. The Hare Krishna mantra is always available. There's never any point where it's inappropriate to chant. Lord Chaitanya says, he's teaching us in his Shikshastika, 8 verses of instruction. He says, Nam namakadi bahudani dasa vishaktis tatrapitani yamitak smarane nakala etadrushi tabakripa bhagavan mamapi durdaivami jasamihajani nanuraga. This is exactly pertinent. One second. He says, my dear Lord Krishna, you have unlimited names. I get put into a little poem. Krishna, Govinda, and Keshava too. Your names have no end, and in each of you have invested your potencies, leaving none out. Whenever we want, we can chant them without the slightest restriction of time or of place. O Lord, who can fathom your infinite grace? Yet I am so wretched, devoid of all shame, that I haven't developed a taste for your name. So developing the taste for your name, of Krishna's name, through the process of devotional service is a large part of the battle. Any questions and comments? Yes? No? Oh, you're doing emoji. I'm sorry, I thought you were raising your hand. Okay, so should we go on? Let me read the rest of this purport, then tomorrow we can proceed, unless there's any urgent. So where did I stop? Ahimsa? No, bhava, I think birth, right? Bhava or birth should be understood to refer to the body. As far as the soul is concerned, there is neither birth nor death. That we have discussed in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Birth and death apply to one's embodiment in the material world. Fear is due to worrying about the future. A person in Krishna consciousness has no fear because by his activities, he's sure to go back to the spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, his future is very bright. Others, however, do not know what their future holds. They have no knowledge of what the next life holds, so they are therefore in constant anxiety. If you want to get free from anxiety, then the best course is to understand Krishna and be situated always in Krishna consciousness. In that way, we will be free from all fear. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11-37, it is said, Bhayam dvitiya bandhavesha syat. Fear is caused by our absorption in the illusory energy. But those who are free from the illusory energy, those who are confident that they are not the material body, that they are spiritual parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who are therefore engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Godhead, have nothing to fear. Their future is very bright. This fear is a condition of persons who are not in Krishna consciousness. Abhayam, fearlessness, is possible only for one in Krishna consciousness. Ahimsa, now this is interesting because everyone knows this word, ahimsa. I'm sure it's an English word by now. Ahimsa or nonviolence means that one should not do anything which will put others into misery or confusion. Material activities that are promised by so many politicians, sociologists, philanthropists, etc., do not produce very good results because the politicians and philanthropists have no transcendental vision. They do not know what is actually beneficial for human society. Ahimsa means that people should be trained in such a way that the full utilization of the human body can be achieved. The human body is meant for spiritual realization. So any movement or any commissions which do not further that end commit violence on the human body. That which furthers the future spiritual happiness of the people in general is called nonviolence. Samatha, equanimity, refers to freedom from attachment and aversion. To be very much attached or to be very much detached, detached here means aversion, is not the best. This material world should be accepted without attachment or aversion. That which is favorable for prosecuting Krishna consciousness should be accepted. That which is unfavorable should be rejected. That is called samatha, equanimity. A person in Krishna consciousness has nothing to reject and nothing to accept, save in terms of its usefulness in the prosecution of Krishna consciousness. Tushti, satisfaction, means that one should not be eager to gather more and more material goods for unnecessary activity. One should be satisfied with whatever is obtained by the grace of the Supreme Lord. That is called satisfaction. Tapas means austerity or penance. There are many rules and regulations in the Vedas which apply here, like rising early in the morning and taking a bath. Sometimes it's very troublesome to rise early in the morning, but whatever voluntary trouble one may suffer in this way is called penance. Similarly, there are prescriptions for fasting on certain days of the month. Coming up on Wednesday, we have our Kaddashi. You're interested? Or one may not be inclined to practice such fasting, but because of his determination to make advancement in the science of Krishna consciousness, he should accept such bodily troubles when they are recommended. However, one should not fast unnecessarily or against Vedic injunctions. One should not fast for some political purpose. That is described in the Bhagavad Gita as fasting in ignorance. And anything done in ignorance or passion does not lead to spiritual advancement. Everything done in the mode of goodness does advance one, however, and fasting done in terms of the Vedic injunctions enriches one in spiritual knowledge. As far as charity is concerned, one should give 50% of his earnings to some good cause. And what is a good cause? It is that which is conducted in terms of Krishna consciousness. That is not only a good cause, but the best cause. Because Krishna is good, his cause is also good. Thus charity should be given to a person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. According to the Vedic literature, it is enjoined that charity should be given to the Brahmins. This practice is still followed, although not very nicely in terms of the Vedic injunction. But still, the injunction is that charity should be given to the Brahmins. Why? Because they are engaged in the higher cultivation of spiritual knowledge. A Brahmin is supposed to devote his whole life to understanding Brahman. Brahma janatiti brahmanaha. One who knows Brahman is called a Brahmana. Thus, charity is offered to the Brahmins because they are always engaged in higher spiritual service and have no time to earn their livelihood. In the Vedic literature, charity is also to be awarded to one in the renounced order of life, the sannyasi. The sannyasis beg from door to door, not for money, but for missionary purposes. The system is that they go from door to door to awaken the householders from the slumber of ignorance. Because the householders are engaged in family affairs and have forgotten their actual purpose in life, awakening their Krishna consciousness, it is the business of the sannyasis to go as beggars to the householders and encourage them to be Krishna conscious. As it is said in the Vedas, one should awake and achieve what is due him in this human form of life. This knowledge and method is distributed by the sannyasis. Hence, charity is to be given to the renouncer of life, to the Brahmins, and similar good causes, not to any whimsical cause. Yashat, fame, should be according to Lord Chaitanya, who said that a man is famous when he is known as a great devotee. That is real fame. If one has become a great man in Krishna consciousness and it is known, then he is truly famous. One who does not have such fame is infamous. All these qualities are manifest through the universe in human society and in the society of the demigods. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there. Now, for one who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. One who engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord develops all good qualities, as arranged by the Supreme Lord. Of whatever we find, good or bad, the origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest itself in this material world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. Although we know that things are differently situated, we should realize that everything flows from Krishna. Jai. So we've kind of run out of time. We're going to have a nice little arati, and then you can stay for prasadam. I've even brought enough plates for everybody, so we all don't have to go with that. And we will resume tomorrow. You're all invited. Same time, same station. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.